Bitcoin. Grayscale outflows are continuing to suppress Bitcoin. It just never ends with Grayscale. And most of this is attributable to Genesis failing big time. Bitcoin supply inactivity for a year slides to an 18-month low of 65.8, which means there's a bunch of people taking profits right now. There's 6 ways that the halving is going to impact Bitcoin mining. That Bitcoin surge yesterday to 72,000 was not over Bitcoin ETF inflows. So something else is going on in the market. Perhaps it's just going to be the beginning of this halving event. Now, in other news, and this is wild, Steve Narioff, something like that. Anyway, he was an early advisor for Ethereum, and I listened to an interview with him the other day, and he has now filed a lawsuit asking the U.S. government to repay $9.6 billion in damages for extortion charges that were eventually dismissed after 4 years. And they went after him super hard, and he would not and refused to back down. So it was a very wild moment. Also, if there's one meme coin that you're supposed to hold on to and never let go of, according to one trader, it's going to be Dogecoin. That it's going to be the first crypto that's a meme coin to go to 100 billion market cap, and it's going to do it in this run. This is not financial advice, but I'm always right.
It's your boy Bleed. Everybody listen up. Let's get it. I'm trying to put money in your pocket. That crypto wallet. That bing bada bing ching ching big profit. Even when the market's sideways, I'm looking for ways to get paid. I'm checking my coins around breakfast, then again around bedtime. Bet this, it's not financial advice, but I'm always right. 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 I'm always right.
All right, guys, crazy times in the world today. So hope you've had a good time for the last little while. We're going to kick this off. We're going to get everything set up as quickly as I possibly can, of course, because I've been gone doing whatever, wherever, however. It's been taking a little bit longer for me to get everything ready. Plus I overslept. So yeah, that was a lot of fun as well. So yeah, it's been one of those days. And I appreciate each and every one of you for tuning in. Let's get into the good mornings. We're going to get into good mornings in just a second. We have to log into Google in order to even say good morning for some messed up reason. I don't know why that is. I think it's probably some kind of bug in the algorithm. Google something. It's got to be some kind of problem. It's not me, right? Yeah, there we go. All right. So now we can good morning, because we didn't have good morning before. But now that we have good morning to everybody. Good morning to Brian Bootyhead, to Jean-Marc. Can you give a new time frame project you showed us in the past to see how is it and where it could go? Jesus and Neko. Yeah, we're going to be working on those over the next couple of days. Richard Caldwell, good morning. Blockchain Bonehead is in the house. Jay Locke is here. S-Dog is in the house. Abimbola Janet is in the house. Tony P is here. Trail Boss is in the house. Coin On. Masonic Mike is in the house. Hammerside is here. Jay Manuel is here. We got JC in the house. Yeah, so I just took a few days off. Jason Pollen says, good morning. I figure you're planning on the world ending before the eclipse and you work to do. Exactly. I got fixed from the eclipsed. Did I make that rhyme? If it rhymed, awesome. Crypto Guy 1976 is in the house. Kamal is here. Duke Juan eats many cheeses, which is important. You should have a lot of cheese in your diet, I'm told. Ugh. Norbert's in the house. What is going on? Kathleen is here. We got RW7610, Richard Nelson, Anna Rexick is in the house. Doge is one of the big ones. $100 billion market cap for Dogecoin. We'll talk about that in just a few minutes. Vader Prime is in the house. Rakoff on Luna Classic. Good morning, Bleeps. Good morning to you, Carlos. Aaron Thompson is in the house. Gary Gensler is in the house as well. We got Morgan Barge. Do you think Ethereum is going to run up to 13,000? Do you think it's going to stay around 4 to 4,500? Well, my prediction for I think the end of this year was 13,000. So it really just takes it takes the halving. It takes the halving. It takes the profits. By the way, Sentiment issued a statement saying that they've really seen that the profits from a lot of these Bitcoin pumps have finally been trickling down into the market, just taking a little bit longer than what they anticipated. So, but it looks like it's really starting to happen right now. Raymond Betancourt is out here. Jeff T is in the house. Good morning. We got Dangerous Crypto in the house. Gazer is here. We still have Gary Gensler here. God damn it. Ooh, I mean, we tried, guys. We tried, but Gary, he's in on everything. Crypto Surfer is in the house. Shane Jordan is here. Jason Bourne is in the house. Everybody, make sure count your heads. Make sure that you count your heads. You know what I mean? Because Jason Bourne is an absolute stone cold killer. So let's kick this off, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. I appreciate each and every one of you. And we're going to start off with the biggest of the big news, and that's going to be Grayscale. So Grayscale Bitcoin outflows continue to suppress Bitcoin, and here's the latest situation. Nearly 1 billion in Bitcoin flowed into the US-based ETFs over the past week, with BlackRock products absorbing most of those inflows. Despite recent outflows in the spot Bitcoin ETF market, the general trend shows continued investor interest in Bitcoin-focused in investment vehicles. And by the way, it should be noted, tomorrow is going to be the first day of that 90-day wild little period and area in which it takes about 90 days for these companies, these investment advisors, to really do their research. They have like a 90-day window before they can start trading. Well, that day is going to be up tomorrow, which means that we're about to see, I think, a lot more inflows coming into these ETFs based on Bitcoin. Despite recent outflows in the spot ETF market, the general trend continues to show investors are interested. However, it's worth noting that cumulative spot Bitcoin volumes have been on a steady decline since reaching peak levels in early March. This downward trend underscores the changing dynamics in the cryptocurrency market, which is influenced by factors such as regulatory developments, market sentiment, and macroeconomic conditions. So, in essence, what we're seeing is we got about $2.5 trillion market cap. Now, a $2.5 trillion market cap a couple of months ago, just a couple of 24 months ago or so, would have led to about a $65,000 Bitcoin, and the rest of the market would have been getting kind of fat on the calf, if you will. But we didn't see that. What we saw was all of this interest came into Bitcoin. So now it's a matter of the profitability of Bitcoin starting to become such that money will flow out of Bitcoin into other projects. Now, the problem with that is that Bitcoin hasn't really shown any sign that it's ready to just kind of yield at this point. So, the question would then become, well, how high does it go? Well, there were some projections about 86,000, almost immediate. There was a lot of people saying that before the halving, that it's starting to look like 86,000 might be the number for that period of time. And I don't know exactly. I haven't put pen to paper and really looked at where that number comes from. I can maybe kind of see it on a trend line here, saying that if this is going to end up being right, then yeah. So they're just looking at it as the next leg up. Next leg up, 86,000. Seems a little aggressive for me, but you know what? We don't know really what's going on with this market. And again, in a couple of days, 2 days, in fact, we're probably going to start seeing a lot more inflows, and we're going to see a big interest probably starting after close of business today that will start to move that Bitcoin market. And you're going to see a lot of speculation of people who are looking for that next big move. So I would just venture to say that, we're probably looking for something kind of big to happen. And if it does, if it in fact does, then, we could be seeing something really kind of crazy starting to happen. So we'll let you know. But let's move on to the big news. The bigger news: Bitcoin supply inactive for a year slides to an 18-month low of 65.8%. The decline likely represents profit taking by investors who held coins for 1 year and over, and marks a shift from the holding strategy seen through 2023. So the decline in Bitcoin circulating supply, last active at least a year ago, has declined from 70% to 65.8 in 3 months. Now, of course, this has been coupled with all-time highs over and over and over again. So basically what you're looking at is Bitcoin hitting all-time highs, and you're seeing people starting to take profits that have been holding on for long periods of time. Change your life. So the decline probably indicates profit taking by some investors in a rising market. The percentage on Monday: 12.95 million Bitcoin, equating to 65.8% of the circulating supply, remained unchanged for over a year, the lowest percentage since October of 2022. The metric peaked above 70% with the debut of nearly a dozen spot exchange traded funds in the middle of January, and has been falling ever since. Since late December, the percentage of the circulating supply that has not moved in at least 2 years has declined to 54% from 57.4. So basically what you're seeing is the people at the top starting to take profit. And a lot of these are going to be like miners and people who need to sell before, because, and we're going to talk about this in just a moment, miners are going to need to have some profit because they're going to need some money in order to operate until Bitcoin starts to rip. Now, if miners are working at a healthy profit right now with a $70,000 Bitcoin, once the halving takes place, it's got to go to 140,000 before they, before they feel that same level as of now. So, and the money's still going to be good. It's not that it won't be good, but the point is, they're going to need to see, because they're only going to be generating 3.125. So, this might be one of those moments where things are about to take off. I guess is the summary. The urge to sell likely stems from Bitcoin's massive 148% price surge since April of last year, and the 50% rally since the ETFs began trading in the US. At press time, Bitcoin changed hands at 70,400. However, it's difficult to ascertain the exact percentage of Bitcoin that left the inactive supply has been liquidated by the market. They've just been moved. Doesn't mean that they've been sold. However, here we sit, still hovering right around $70,000. Using our previous all-time high as support right now, which is actually a very big move. I think that's a very big move. So now let's talk about what are the 6 ways the halving is going to impact all of these Bitcoin miners. Number one, the high cost of miners will be forced to upgrade their fleets. Data from CoinMetric highlights that most of the industry currently operates with relatively inefficient machines like the Antminer S19J Pro. These miners require an operating cost of 5 cents per kilowatt hour or lower to maintain healthy growth profit margins post halving. However, with the average hosting rate in the US sitting just below 0.08 kilowatts per hour as indicated, many US miners could face cash flow challenges after the halving and thus be forced to undertake massive fleet upgrades. So that could be why you're seeing a lot of sell-off happening. That sell-off that's happening right now are these miners selling in order to make sure that they have the ability to fund Bitmain's launch of its new machines, including the S21, the T21, and the S21 Pro. Each boast efficiencies below 20 JTH, arriving just in time for the halving. This development is prompting many US-based hosting providers to push their customers to switch from the S19J Pro to the S21 models. Given the high hosting fees in the US, this push can be seen as a necessity rather than a choice. So it very well could be that these guys are having to cash out in order to continue and in order to maximize what's going to be a very tight market for a little while. If you don't cash out right now and you don't take your money when you have it available, what are you going to do later on when it's no longer as profitable to do? So this is the opportunity for them to do some upgrading. and let's see what happens. Next, miners will find creative ways to increase their profits. One such strategy is underclocking, a process in which the machine's electricity consumption is reduced to increase the energy efficiency and to reduce costs. This process, which can be facilitated by third-party firmware like LuxOS, significantly improves machine efficiency, a critical adaptation in an environment where margins are thin. The movement towards underclocking is likely to gain momentum. So there is an opportunity to see something happen there because of that. Some miners will start to diversify themselves away from mining. Bitcoin mining will become more geographically decentralized. Now, at the current rate, the US commands a substantial portion of the global hash rate, accounting for 40%, while China and Russia contribute 15 and 20%. However, the industry is gradually shifting towards a more globally dispersed model, driven by the perpetual quest for cost efficiency. Canada sitting at 5%, Norway sitting at 1.5%. Kazakhstan, 3.5%, Malaysia, 3%, UAE is at 3%, Ethiopia is at 0.3%, and then the rest are just at smaller numbers. So, as miners brace for the upcoming halving, many are exploring emerging mining markets across Africa, Latin America, and Asia, where electricity is exceptionally cheap. So, yeah, that's what that's what will end up happening, right? Most of these guys are going to start moving to places where it's less expensive in order to do it. So the forthcoming Bitcoin halving is eagerly awaited. The next one is little impact on the Bitcoin price. The impact of the negative supply shocks in earlier halvings was profound, especially during the first halving when the annualized issuance plummeted from 25% to 12.5%, and the second when it dropped from 8.4 to 4.2. However, in the upcoming halving, the decrease from 1.6 to 0.8 represents a much less significant shift compared to the dramatic changes observed in previous cycles. Don't misunderstand the position. This still foresees a bull market in the wake of the halving, but it's going to be a little bit different. So make sure if you're a miner that you are managing your processes, because it's going to get a little bit more difficult for you as a miner going forward. Next up, Bitcoin surged to 72,000, driven by macro factors, not just the ETF inflows. And by the way, it should be noted, there's a lot of people going for stable coins lately. It seems misguided to assert that the surge in Bitcoin's value was solely due to the purchase of 500 million in Bitcoin by the Athena stablecoin USDC. For instance, MicroStrategy's acquisition of 9,245 Bitcoin, valued at 600 million on March 19, did not prevent a 13.7% drop in Bitcoin price in the next 6 days. Given Bitcoin's daily spot volume exceeding 10 billion, such inflows are seen as relatively insignificant. Jamie Dimon recently indicated that a shareholder letter that the resilience of the U.S. economy could lead to stickier inflation and higher interest rate than markets expect. This insight helped partially explain why gold ETFs are trading at a premium in China, as investors brace for inflationary pressures amid the U.S. precarious fiscal debt. Now, by the way, China is trading at a plus 30% premium, and it was forced to halt trading in China for their gold ETF. Investors there are so desperate to buy things that are not linked to their own economy, which has been in the gutter for a while. So, yeah, there's something really wild happening everywhere. Now, one might contend that the aforementioned dynamics do not inherently favor Bitcoin, as heightened inflation diminishes the populace disposable income, and the inexorable escalation of U.S. debt is likely to precipitate an economic downturn. Nonetheless, predicting how investors will react to such occurrences remains challenging, given Bitcoin's fluctuating correlation with traditional assets like stocks and gold. Moreover, escalating trade tensions between the U.S. and China could have spurred the increased interest in both gold and Bitcoin. Intriguingly, gold prices soared to a record high of $23.54 on April 8th, a development that coincided with the U.S. Treasury's 2-year yield reaching its highest level in over 4 months at 4.79. So, guys, if you remember a few months back, we were really talking about one of the bigger problems that were affecting Bitcoin, and the reason that Bitcoin was not surging was Treasury yields, and the Treasury yields were incredibly high, especially 10-year was at 4.8, almost reaching 5%. And it just doesn't make any sense if you have millions upon millions of dollars for a risk-valued investment. The thing to remember is these U.S. Treasury yields are basically guaranteed money. And if the U.S. government is guaranteeing you about a 4.5 to 5% return on your treasury yields, I mean, it's guaranteed money. So, these guys are not really looking to take a risk on Bitcoin, even if if you take your money, if you take a $30,000 Bitcoin, you turn it into a $70,000 Bitcoin, and you show these people that return, they don't even care, because they're already making plenty from. And by the way, it does not mean that they're not greedy. It just means that they can also say, well, hell, let's zoom out just a little bit. And as soon as they zoom out to, May of 2021 and say, well, from May of 2021 until right now, we're dead even. Whereas before, I would have 10%, 15% more by just buying these treasury yields. So, it's very difficult to talk people out of that it's safe and free and easy money. If you have money, it's easy to make a bunch more. On April 8th, U.S. Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen disclosed that the administration is contemplating potential tariffs on subsidized Chinese energy products, including solar panels, lithium-ion batteries, and electric vehicles. Yellen also noted that other nations might consider implementing trade restrictions against China, as reported by CNBC. Within this context, a surge in Bitcoin's value to $72,000 on April 8th may be attributed to investors seeking a hedge against the deteriorating state of global economic relations and the ramifications of U.S. government stimulus. So, it is in fact possible that some of these wild other factors are starting to contribute to whatever is going on in this broader market. Now, we're going to get into something a little bit wild and a little bit weird, because it's about time to talk about Ethereum. And look, there's some wild stuff that's been going on. Again, we're talking about Steve Narioff. He was one of the early advisors. In fact, he was in line to get I want to say millions of Ethereum during the early part. He was one of those guys, but he did not want to take his because he didn't feel that it was right. Right. He also later on became a whistleblower against Ethereum, and in fact had many conversations, communications with, even though it was pretended that he was not really deeply involved. It turns out after the fact he was extremely involved. And the U.S. government has attacked him. There's been a lot going on with Steve Narioff. I suggest that you go do some research on this guy, because he is under the impression. And look, so I don't know if you guys remember the conversation. Remember when I was talking about Pony Boy, the guy with the hair, Aaron Kaplan, I think his name was, and he was with a company called Prometheum. And we were asking the question, like, why is there this company out here called Prometheum that's able to sell? They're the only company out there able to sell securities in cryptocurrency. And they got their license approved on a Friday and showed up in Congress on a Monday. And they've basically backed everything that Gary Gensler has said, no matter what it is that he says. Even if he changes his mind, then they're like, yeah, that's what I meant. That's what I meant. I meant the other thing, because that's what they do. Well, it turns out Prometheum is owned by a bunch of former SEC employees, and it looks like there's a fix in. So that leads us to Ethereum, where if Ethereum is a security, it doesn't stop Prometheum from being the holding company for Ethereum, and it gives them an inside track. And this is just the government helping its own people by way of this Prometheum company, which again is owned by former SEC agents from being at the forefront of what might go on with Ethereum. And look, it doesn't matter whether Ethereum is a commodity or a security for the context of the ETFs. It really doesn't matter. So, a lot of people are like, well, we have to determine whether or not that is the case or not before this happens. No, you don't, because it doesn't matter. It'll still be, you're still able to do it whichever way you want. So just pay attention to what's going on here. But he's filed a $9.6 billion lawsuit against the U.S. government. He was an early advisor to the Ethereum network, and he filed a lawsuit against the U.S. government for false charges and mistreatment by federal agents between 2019 and 2023. He was known for publicly accusing Vitalik Buterin of fraud, filed a federal tort claims act suing the U.S. for $9.6 billion in damages for the extortion case brought against him in 2019. The legal battle lasted for about 4 years, with the U.S. government eventually dismissing the lawsuit. No, that Promethean Purple is a very different company, very different entity. According to the new SF-95 filing posted by Fox Business journalist Eleanor Terrett, make sure if you haven't that you follow Ellie Terrett on X. Narioff sued the federal government based on claims that its agents were aware of the baseless nature of the charges. He also argued that some agents engaged in harassment and intimidation tactics, including fabrication of evidence in order to prosecute him for extortion. Narioff's legal team believes that damages caused by Narioff's reputation and businesses are significant enough to file a lawsuit against the U.S. government. The filing reads, as a direct and proximate result of the wrongful conduct of federal agents and or officers, Mr. Narioff's well-being, personal life, and career were irreparably harmed. He incurred significant legal fees to defend himself while simultaneously losing income as a result of becoming a feared pariah in the crypto community. Narioff also hired Alan Dershowitz as the consultant on the case, who believes that the case is unusual. Now, let me also state again, if you have not already, go listen to Steve Narioff give his testimony about everything that happened along the way, how he didn't take the money from these guys, that he was an early founder, but he does believe that they were committing fraud in many different ways. That they were holding on to. He thinks that that Vitalik, that every one of them were very deceptive in the things that they were doing, which is why he disassociated himself with this whole process, because he felt that his reputation was more important than trying to make a buck off of whether Ethereum was or was not a security. And he went a long way towards establishing how Ethereum was not a security in the beginning. And he feels like that the team there were trying to ensure that it was a security. Now, I'm not going to get too deep into the weeds here, but this goes from Vitalik, who met multiple times with John Hinman, to the fact that John Hinman even said in a speech which was not authorized by the SEC that Ethereum was a commodity, and that he refused to ever comment and acknowledge why that was taking place. So it is his belief right now, that Gary Gensler and all of these, inner guys, and they don't care again whether it's a commodity or a security for Ethereum. They it doesn't matter to them at all. This is about, they want control of this process. They want control of crypto, and the control of crypto for the moment is Bitcoin, but they don't feel that it's going to stay that way. They feel that it's going to be Ethereum, because Ethereum is it's basically what Web3 and everything is built on at this point. And by the way, when we talk about that, if we go to look at, I'm going to show you guys some data here, and you can actually see this. If you look at the 24-hour volume, Ethereum's volume is 2.94 billion. BSC, which is a layer 2, is 1.48 billion. Solana, which is not, is 1.16 billion. But then you go to Arbitrum, which is, and that's 781 million. And then you go to Base, which is, and that's 531 million. And then you go to Thorchain, which isn't, but it's 284. You go to Polygon, which is, and it's 110 million. So the volume of everything right now is trading through Ethereum. Ethereum is where everything is happening. So, it's a little bit wild here. And the U.S. guys, I cannot stress enough, pay attention to what they're talking about, because it's actually very, very wild, this whole case. And it sounds like a wild ass conspiracy. I mean, to me, anyway, it sounds like a wild conspiracy. Do your own research though, and figure that shit out for yourself, because again, to me, just absolutely wild, what I was hearing. Now let's move on. We're going to go into altcoins. Now, one guy has said, a crypto trader tells his fans that Dogecoin is going to be the first meme coin to reach 100 billion market cap. And by the way, it's not a great trader, by the way. It's Jake Gagan. And you guys know Jake, and Jake and I are friends. But he said that Jake Gagan's tweet on April 8th narrates an encounter with a party goer in Los Angeles seeking advice. The individual who had invested $600,000 in the meme coin 2020 did not cash out at the 2020 all-time high, expressed concern about its future. The heavily followed trader suggests not selling the investment until the upcoming Bitcoin halving. He estimates the all-time high in 12 to 16 months, albeit accompanied by market volatility. And he forecasted Dogecoin will become the first meme coin to reach a market capitalization of 100 billion, saying his 600,000 today will probably be worth 2 million in 2025. I told him to diamond hand, as this is what I would do. Hopefully this turns into reality. So what do you guys think? Do you think that Dogecoin is going to be the first one to 100 billion? Or do you think it's going to be Dog with Hat? Do you think it's going to be SHIB? Does something kind of overtake and become bigger than Doge? Is there something out there, maybe even something that we're not thinking about at this point? I don't think that it would be, because it takes a lot of it takes a lot of this is the same. Yeah, this is the same Jake that was pumping a Saitama that went to 7 billion. So I don't think that you're thinking clearly. If he's pumping something that goes to 7 billion market cap, then in the next bull run, Doge continuing to soar and go back up to 100 billion, especially with Elon Musk potentially offering Dogecoin as a payment service, makes a lot of sense, actually. Not because of Jake Gagan, and Jake Gagan was just along for the ride with Saitama. I mean, a lot of us were we were on the ride for Saitama. You know what I mean? Like, there were a lot of people that were involved. There were a lot of people that were interested, and it just continued to soar, you know? So it's going to probably do the same thing. Doge will be the first one with 100 billion market cap. And by the way, when I say that, it might sound crazy, but it's not that far away. It's got a $27 billion market cap right now. So you're telling me that there's no chance that a meme coin in a bull run could 4x? That doesn't make any sense. Will it stay there, and will it continue to be at 100 billion market cap? Of course not. Can it make 100 billion market cap? I mean, it would be $1. It would be near $1, which is what Dogecoin wanted to be the last time. And what was the Dogecoin market cap on the last run up? I mean, that's the question that we would have to ask. And we can actually go figure that out by market cap over here. The market cap on Dogecoin at that time was $74 billion. So you're telling me that in the next bull run, this was at 2.7 trillion as a market cap right now. We're at 2.5 trillion right now, and it's pointing kind of straight up here. So yeah. Can it get another $25 billion and go to 100 billion when there's $5 trillion estimated to be in crypto by the end of this year? Of course it can. Like, it's absolutely not that complicated to get there. Now, you know, the problem with that is that it's not a big gain. It's just not a big gain compared to a lot of these other ones. So Into the Block, by the way, shows a 47.6% surge in large transactions and 13% increase in daily active address over the past 24 hours. Transactions over 100,000 spikes to 881 on April 8th, up from 702 on April 7th. So there is a situation in which there's the possibility, and it's certainly a possibility exists, that Dogecoin becomes the first one to 100 billion. But now it is time to talk about Neko. I'll be doing a video for Neko again today, which you should see come out in a few hours. Had a nice little run. Had just a fantastic sort of run not that long ago. Pumped its way up. Now every meme coin is down right now. Everything is kind of feeling that burn, if you will, that pre-halving sort of jitter feeling. Because a lot of these things have run pretty well. So the question would be how far, how long does it go? Well, let's break down some of this stuff. Bencoin, on April 6th, Cassie posted that the contract with the original developer for staking didn't work. So the new developer that we're using, they're creating a new smart contract, should be ready in a week for staking. So a couple more days for staking. We should have it in about 4 days. That'll relieve some of the sell pressure. And look, by the way, I do want to stress that when it comes to Ben, the issue is basically there's a bunch of weak-handed babies that thought that they were just going to make easy money off of Ben Armstrong, and he was just going to pump their bag for them. And it just didn't work out that way. Or it did work out that way, but they got greedy, and then they didn't sell at 100 million market cap because they thought it's just going to keep going forever. You know what I mean? Got that pie in the sky sort of feeling. And then when it went back down to 90 million market cap, they were like, no, it's going to go back. Then it went to 80 and they were like, no, it's going to go back. Then it went to 70 and they were like, no, it's going to go back. They're blaming Ben for their greed. So you're going to see some people selling, and they'll continue. There'll be some continued selling, but at some point it will reverse big time, and it'll have a nice little run. So I mean, here's the thing: everybody who's bet against Ben Armstrong so far has been wrong, and continues to be wrong. And by the way, he sent me a mixtape over the weekend, which was fantastic. By the way, shout out to Ben and Carlos, the cable guy, for their conversations that I guess he just didn't know that Ben was recording like an idiot. You know what I mean? Like, Jesus Christ, unbelievable. So let's start checking out. And Terra Luna Classic, Duquan found guilty, and GalaxyShift.io. If you haven't checked out GalaxyShift.io, by all means, go check them out. There's a bunch of it's a what do you call it, the card game, so you can and by the way, there's a video coming out today for you guys to go check that out. And of course, Terra Casino, if you want to go do some burning of Luna Classic, and if you haven't already, sign up for weeks in the description down below. If you want to start burning some Luna Classic, all you have to do is trade that on the chain there, and they're going to be one of those companies that does a lot of burning. Now let's get into the market, because god damn, Bitcoin was at 73,000 last night, or close to it. And then now it's at 72,756, and now it's back down to 69,587. And by the way, this is going to be a continued thing. This is not the end of volatility. You can see these massive volatility spikes here that continue to happen over and over and over and over again. Every time these happen, it's just going to be wild swings. Liquidity heat map over here. Let me hit refresh, and you guys can get an idea of what it looks like. We're going to move to the 3 hour, by the way. Have not gotten 69.2 looks where there's a big pool right now. On the shorter time frames, on the longer time frames, let's see what we got here. We got to move probably down into the 68,800 range. It's probably where that's probably where it's gonna be a good entry point. 68,008 probably for a reversal, with a reversal looking like 71.8 maybe. It's going to depend really on how it heats up as we start to come down a little bit more. As you can see right here, all the way through this range right here in the short term, all the way up to 72,002, we got a pretty bright spot for trading. So are we coming down here into this 64 range? Probably not. Again, this is 60. I think 68.8 probably ends up being the goal right here. And we continue to get that little push down. Now, it could be that we could just sweep all the way through here. I mean, we came down through here before and wrecked all these people as they put themselves in that position. And then, you know, it on the longer term time frame, by the way, 73,000 looks like it's next, maybe even 73.5 with a big and concerted effort. So I would look for 68.8 if you're, you know, and by the way, if you're shorting it, I would look at probably hit the reverse button at around 68.9, something like that. You know what I mean? And just play it back up. But I think because I think it's going to go up once it hits this range right here. So 68.7, 68.8 is going to be in that range. So shout out to everybody who's making it, because that is a big, big and bold move. And it's just the U.S. government. It's just the U.S. market doing what can only be described as U.S. market shit. You know, just trying to gouge everybody for profit. It's just what they do. Myro is not holding up very well at all. Now, this is part of a wider trend here. Dog with Hat sinking down, sinking down, sinking down. Same thing with Solana. The congestion in the Solana network is starting to frustrate people. So you're starting to see Solana just kind of eat it as the rest of this market starts to do it. The total market cap down 84 billion, but Ethereum had a nice big run yesterday, all the way up to 3,700. A big reversal, by the way. Shout out to everybody holding Ethereum. 3,200 all the way up to 3,700 in a short period of time. What a nice run. Now, I do think we're about ready for another reversal. If worse comes to worse, then I would look for a move into 3,480, a little under 3,500 as a range here. If Bitcoin continues to press down U.S. market again, if the U.S. market is doing this, then USA. Render down to $9.42. This would be a good opportunity for a strong bounce, by the way. As you can see from this little range right here, this is where one of those big volume nodes is. Just came back into this volume node. If it breaks this volume node, then it comes down into that 750 range, which I don't think that it's going to do. I think it's more likely that it pumps back up into this $11 range on render. So I would certainly be looking for something like that to play out. As for the rest of the market, I mean, it's basically all in red right now. We're just eating it every which way. 5 IR is down to 13 cents. Buy opportunity, by the way. It's a big buy opportunity for you. Aave's down to 127, but again, Aave had a nice little run. Cardano down to almost a little under 60 cents. Again, testing that volume node right there. Hopefully there's a big move up to 75 cents again. You know what I mean? API 326. Again, we got in at 270, so we're not feeling too bad about it. I mean, we got in way back over here. I think it's in this little pump right here. So we got in at 270, trading at 326 right now, but did have a high of 492 just recently. I think it's going to reverse and have a nice big run. Arbitrum, $1.52. ASM, 3.4 cents. I'm not feeling assembly protocol. I thought there was going to be some kind of spike here, but it lasted a minute and was just gone with the wind. So, yeah. Anyway, that's it for the days, guys. I got to get ready. Got to keep it short, a little bit short today. I'll be back in full swing tomorrow. Everything just kind of got late, if you will. So anyway, let's pay some bills, and then we'll talk to you again tomorrow. Have a good day. And this is not financial advice, but I'm always right. Cryptonomy.finance just launched a research section, so make sure that you go check that out today. Learn a little bit more about crypto that you may not have known before. If you are a corporate client, you can have a relationship manager and a lot of customer support, superior OTC services, and institutional tools that will help you in your venture. Also, if you sign up for the VIP course, you can get in touch with high-touch wealth management personnel and a lot of different people and personalized information as you need in order to successfully navigate this crypto system. Also, if you look at my moves right now, you can see that I'm earning over 106 Solana on my last staking. My Tether, I'm going to earn 1,670 on my staking so far. You can see there's some of these I've earned $784. I can't cash out for a while, but I've earned $784 so far. And then in the launch pool, guys, if you haven't checked the launch pool out, you've got to check the launch pool. Look at these ROIs that I'm getting right now. It's fantastic. 20x on K9 Finance, 7x on Weave, on Block Jerk. If you put a stake into this system,